Hello again. Today I have an Xbox 360 and it won't turn on. As you can see, the power brick has the orange standby light, and you should be able to touch the silver disc, which is the on button, and it should turn on, and nothing happens. Now there's two pins on the plug for this. Two pin connector, two barrels. There's an outside connector on each one. There's an inside ring on each one, and then there's the pin in the center. So I believe, because what we have at the moment is one of them's got 5 volts on it, and I believe that there should be some signaling that tells the power supply to then send out, is it 12 possibly, to power the Xbox. Now I don't yet know if it's the Xbox that's not working or if the power supply is not turning on when it's told to. Now, because there's quite an involved process to open these, they're a bit very well put together. I'm going to see if I can crack open the power supply first, and we'll do some measurements in the power supply to see if there is the signal coming back through here or if there's not. And if there's not, then we know we'll have to open the Xbox anyway, but if there is, it might save some time, and it might be that. I do not have one that I can plug in as a spare, unfortunately. It would be a lot quicker just to plug it in now and good and see if it works, but I don't have one, so that's where we're going. This has been unplugged for about a minute, so and you can see the light is still on, so just proves that you need to be careful inside mains equipment. They do retain voltages for some time when there's no load, so just be aware when you're cracking it open, mind your fingers, and be careful not to get them on the board as you're pulling the case apart until you're positive that there's no charge there. So I don't quite know how these are held together, so we'll just start with a spudger. The case is moving, so it may not be glued. The edge is moving, it's sort of parting, so it doesn't feel like it's seam welded. I can't feel any holes under the stickers, so I don't think there's any screws in the middle. Here's a thought: sometimes they hide screws under the rubber feet, so we'll pop that up. No screw under that foot. Just in case they're at one end. Here we go. Here's a screw under that one. Not under that one. Maybe there's one on the sides. No, none under those ones. So we only have screws under one corner. That's cool. And it is a security Torx, so it's a star-shaped bit, and it has the pin in the middle, so you need a bit with a hole in the center to allow for that. As you can see, there's a hole in the end of the bit, and it appears to be a T10 for size. Now there's got to be a clip in there somewhere. I wonder if the end is clipped in, or if it actually goes around. There's little slots here which make me wonder if there's release tabs there as well. But oh no, here we go. Squeeze it down the side. Let's go because the screw's not in there. Yeah, possibly glued as well. It does seem to be hanging on by, or favouring one side. Can I pull that out? What's held on there? Wow, that's not very good. So the screw posts, all of these have screws in them, but if you pull the feet off you can't tell. They've gone and put blind plugs on top of the screws in all but one corner. That is out of it. And then of course you think, oh yeah, get one screw out, give it a pull. Sure enough, they all break off. But is that just some sort of proof that someone was in their system? Wow. Okay, so I've dug it here. They aren't coming out easily. Let's see if I can't get one out. So I get a screwdriver in there and kind of lever on it. There it goes. You bastard. Look at that. Bloody caps over the screws. Who would have thought? Oh well, we'll have to glue those damn posts back in. What's left of them. It was just sheer fluke that the first one, the one I took out that took the cap with it, but it is a separate rubber boot in the cap. Right, so down on the board, we've got a +12, an RS, a +5, and a power enable, and black wire heading over to ground over the back. So I'm not sure what RS might stand for, but certainly power enable I'm picking needs to have a signal come back up this line to turn on the +12. We've already got the 5 volt we know, so I'm going to plug it in and we'll see if we get a voltage on the power enable wire when I put my finger on the power on button. We have our 5 volts there, and this is our power enable line, and I'm tapping the front of the machine and it's not coming on, so it's definitely a problem with the Xbox itself. They're all the same to me. Definitely a problem with the Xbox itself. Now I could trick this into turning on by jumping 5 volts to the blue line. That would probably do it, but I better not, just in case there's a serious problem in the Xbox. We don't want it to destroy anything that may not be as happy as it should be. How to open one of these? I may have to refer to someone else's guide as I have not done enough of them, but I think we start with the side plates, and there's your hard drive. And does this one come off as well? Possibly. Just unclips maybe. Feel free to skip ahead. Like I said, there's plenty of other guides on the net that'll show you this if you don't have time to sit around and watch the boring stuff. Go with the other end. I think there's screws behind one of these. Could be totally wrong. I do think we have to pry along the back edge here. I believe it connects. We'll have to get rid of the probable warranty sticker. That's a shame. Won't be able to claim warranty. I think it's too old for that anyway. See if there's any clips that I can feel. I'm back on the hard drive side. I think this edge is going to pop out. This ring, I did just let a clip go on the side, which means it must be held in by some other clips. There's one clip beside the hard drive insert. No, I think I'm dreaming. think I'm dreaming. Okay, apparently this does come off, and it is initially a permanent plastic welded section that we have to somewhat destroy to get off. It's held in place by some fancy clips somewhere, but that's not too bad. It looks like there's these square tabs that stick out slightly and lock into the side. I don't know what the video I just watched a part of said that you'd end up breaking these tabs, but if you no, they're not breaking. You just got to squeeze the side away enough. Unless what he's referring to is the other side, which I may have it upside down because that did feel a little like something just let go. Okay, so they are along this side, although feels like they're attached to the chrome edge and the edge wants to come off. But what he was referring to is breaking them off the chrome edge. So whatever takes your fancy, I guess, whatever gets the job done. What he was referring to are these little pieces that stick out, and it appears that this is inserted into the chrome surround, and then the ends of these stubs are melted over, and then the chrome surround is clipped into place. Because on the chrome surround there are clips on the inside that you would never get from the outside unless you had a very flexible, strong tool that you could slip in the crack around the edge. But this is just as easy, and it will still be retained by the side plate once we put it back on. It doesn't gotta matter that it gets broken. Well, there are slots cut in here that lead down to each of the plastic clips on the chrome surround. What if we could slide something down there and release them anyway? What if? Is it possible? Oh, it moved. Maybe. Oh, look at that. We might not have to break these off after all. Ah, look at that, huh? How do I, okay, where's the side ones? I think I can get the side ones. Same deal, very tight against the hard drive caddy. Yep, that one seems to have come up. Well, they're actually a different clip. What about down here? That one's up. And just see how they work. Look at that. If I put that back down, there we go. Got the whole piece off with all its clips intact, so you can actually reach down through these whole slots with something long and skinny and pop them aside. That's a nicer way of doing it. I'd rather get stuff off like that without breaking it. Unlike this side. Don't listen to the first guy you watch. But now we can unhook this chrome edge. It's got a lot more clips than the previous side though, just keep that in mind, and some in the corners, so Whether these corner ones would make it harder to access, I don't know, but it looks like they left slots in the blacks around for the whole lot. No worries. Alright, now there's some clips on the inside that hold the back edge together, and I think we release those and we can flip it over, flip the side off and pull it sort of toward the front to flip it off. I think we'll go for the bottom cover here. So you can look in from the sides to release the clip at each end, and then there's another clip about here, and if you press on the top cover, so writing's upside down, so this is the top, and I pressed here and it allowed it to release because it's sort of pushing the clip in a way. When you release these ones, you want to pull up slightly so that it separates, and keep the tension on it so it doesn't flop back down. Now, in theory, this should come off here, I suppose. I don't know. One swift pull and it came off. Now, to get this off, we're going to have to, looks like there's some long screws that come through to the bottom plate. So we get those off, and then the whole chassis should fall out. So, not all of them need undoing. It looks like two black ones there, one black one there. I don't think the silver ones, I think they hold the unit together, so there's a black one there as well. So we'll start with the black ones and see if that releases the unit. One hidden under the round Microsoft sticker. And it feels pretty loose. What's left? Actually, metal shield. That metal shield come off with it, I think. Which means we're going to have to disconnect this little board on the side, which I think is for our Wi-Fi. So we'll take that off, and then the shield will pass that. And now the metal shield, which is attached to the top cover, will come off with it. And possibly the whole front. Oh, okay, there we go. So now our top cover's off, and I've noticed you want to be careful here. There is a flex connector strip running down the side. You can see that. Horrible lighting. There, a little ribbon coming up, connecting to the front. So we don't want to rip that. It'll ruin your day. The CD drive is all loosey-goosey, so that'll want to fall out on you. So I might as well just unplug that for now. Oh, it's got, there we go. This one's not very dusty at all. It either hasn't had much use or it's been in a very clean environment. So let's start troubleshooting. What are we going to do? Power in. Do we rip the board out and go whole hog, or do we plug it in and do a test on this connector to see if we've got anything on that connector that should allow that front panel switch to operate? This doesn't look very dirty or anything that could be interfering with it, so There's another antenna by the look of it, so maybe that's our wireless controller and that other side card was our Wi-Fi. Maybe I'll pull the whole board out. Better. Everything free? No. A couple on the back. Okay. Gonna get the fan shroud out. Oop. Yeah. Then we can get the hard drive caddy out. And we'll have to remove that. Maybe I could make some topside measurements. I'm picking there's going to be almost nothing on the bottom anyway. It's pretty flat. I think everything we need to play with is on the top. Alright. Let's see what we can see. So keep in mind, when the cover's off, you don't have the shape that only lets this go in one way. So you could actually plug this in any way. And that could end up in disaster, especially if something on the 12 volt side managed to trip the power supply into turning on and sending 12 volts up your 5 volt line. So when plugging it in, you can go any way around without this in place, so make sure you got it right way around. So I'm just going to start poking around and seeing if I can spot 5 volts coming in, see where it goes. And I'm going to say that'll be for sure ground. Now I've got a couple of 0 ohm resistors here. They're both on the same line. I'm picking that's going to be our 12 volt line. It's got nothing on it. A couple of small capacitors here. So they're quite possibly on our 5 volt line, because this looks like all 12 volt in, and then a bunch of switching regulators and so forth. So there will be something small that has just a small regulator that has something on it. There's 0.6 of a volt, sounds like a feedback line on a regulator. So there's 5 volts there. What's this one over here? That's also got 5 on it. And it's got about half. What about coming off these? So 3.3. There we go. So we've got 3.3 is a well-known voltage for small circuits. 1.8. So we know that's working. So that's a good start. Starting to sound like maybe it's a front panel issue and it's not even detecting our fingers on it. So since those are active, let's have a look. What's this one over here? Nothing. Anything on these ones? I'd say these are all going to be pretty quiet. They look fairly heavy duty. They won't be on until we've got 12 volts. So there's a little standby circuit It's powering the front panel and then feeding back to the power supply to turn it on. I do wonder where or what chip that is doing that. See if we can't see a voltage on any of these little chips. Nothing there. And these ones are going to have nothing on them as well. What's over here? That's actually that's a FET. You can tell because all the legs on one side are joined together. That's usually how they do that. There's a quick and dirty close-up of where I was looking, and there's a little regulator here and a little regulator here, little SOT23 5-pin regulators, and the top right pin on each one is our regulated output, which are related to these inductors here. So we've got our 1.8 and our 3.3, and that's where I was probing. And this is the two 0 ohm resistors that come through for our 12 volt main supply. So where I'm going to focus now, I'm going to go to the front panel and see if we've got signal up on the front panel that it should be responding to. So I've got the front panel back on, and I'm just going to probe along these points along here where the connector attaches to the main board and see if there's any voltage on there or anything that you might expect to be there. If there's absolutely nothing at all, then obviously the button isn't going to work. Something worth noting, I had the power plugged in and I was going to start the measurements, and I thought, well, I'll take off this this black ring from the front so I can get access to all the pins. Unplugged it, took it off, was removing the ring, and I noticed there was quite a lot of warmth in this area, and that's not normal. This board shouldn't really be running warm in a standby mode. So let's pop it back on and get a feel for what's going on there. It could be this entire board's got a fault and is not communicating with the main board. So plug that on. Oh, wow! Whoo! Smoking hot. Oh, that burns. Oh shit! Whoo! And when I have a look, I can actually see charred remains. Excuse me while I get some ice. Alright, here we go. Now this is our connector where the flex goes in, off to the main front panel. And who spotted the problem? Yep. It's got pretty hot, and luckily it seems to be confined to that capacitor. In theory, nothing else is a problem. So let's, obviously it's going to be a short circuit, let's just go with the meter and measure across here. And yep, she's a dead short. I'll prove it by making it beep. There you go. So we'll remove that. It's pretty crusty looking. I don't know what would cause that to fail, but especially on a front panel. But whether it's going to just let's remove it with a hot air. Pulling it off is not really ideal. I don't think it's going to go. We want to save those pads. I have no idea what value that would be either. I'm picking it's only going to have 5 volts on it because that's all it's going in at the moment, and that's stopping this whole board from working. Might be able to find a 5 volt cap. of that size. But let's start with removal. Alright, pop a little bit of fresh solder on there. And that pad there, that's just a bit charcoal. It should be reusable. Feels alright, just a bit crusty. Wonder how long that had been in standby for example, just baking away before they realised it wouldn't turn on. Must have happened. Either that or the whole thing just dropped dead while they were playing it. Yeah. But yeah, you know what people are like, they don't really sort of think about anything and leave things plugged in, but until they decide to get around to it. Okay, it's plugged in. Let's check this. And it's on. We have a fan spin and we have flashing green light, which is a bit hard to see because it's not lined up with the ring that I took off, but there we go. Unit works. That was our problem all along. And as I don't have a 3-volt cap, well, there we go. I don't have a 3.3 volt capacitor, but I don't think there's going to be a problem with that front panel if I leave it off, and it's not too hard to get to if it becomes a problem. So I'm going to throw it back together as it is, give it a bit of a clean what dust is in there, and call it done, I think. Yeah, there's no point worrying about it much more, but it'd be interesting to know why it failed. There was no real appearance of liquid getting in there or anything like that, so maybe it's a common thing on these, I don't know. But hopefully that'll help you find why your Xbox doesn't start. Thanks for watching.